Welcome to the Aaron L Show. It's your boy Aaron L. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this video. I really would appreciate it. This video this morning is going to be about AI versus human. Because I work out here in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, and I kind of noticed that they have a lot of driverless cars, so it's not really a human driving a car. It's artificial intelligence. It's AI driving. And I believe that the world is changing in a direction of AI. Everybody knows that. This is the new technology that the world is adapting to. And I believe that this is the first challenge for human to stay employed. We have to compete against artificial intelligence in order for us to survive. And it's a tough situation because can we survive against artificial intelligence? And the reason why I say that is you have a company in San Francisco, California that's called Waymo, and they do Uber, but no one's driving a car. I'm not for sure if they do Uber and Lyft, but no one's driving a car. But you also have human that still does Uber for a living to feed their family. And there's no way for us to benefit off the Waymo cars because Waymo is their own entity. They are their own company. So the Waymo cars are driverless. They have artificial intelligence, and they're driving around the city, and people, look for an Uber ride, and the Waymo car will pull up, and it will pick you up, and it will drive without anyone in the car and take you to your destination. Now you have, let's say, a person like me, which I don't do Uber, but let's just say it's me doing Uber. I'm waking up in the morning and I'm coming over here to the city, and I'm, cutting on my Uber app, and I'm doing the same thing. And this is this is us competing against machine. But I believe that what's a lot harder is that, the machine, it has a ability to, remember a lot more than a human. It can remember last week where it was busy at what time. It can remember, certain times certain people like to get picked up. It can pick up trends. It can pick up, not saying that a human can't do that, but just our memory is not as advanced as theirs is because they can actually tap into the internet right while they're out doing Uber or Lyft. They can tell which platform is the busiest, which platform is getting the most calls, what areas are busy, at what time those areas are busy. It's not no lackluster time. And then I don't believe that, when you're a human, I believe that your drive time is 10 to 12 hours on the Uber app. I'm not for sure if they're putting the Waymo cars on that same restriction. So I believe that because it's not actually a person driving in a car that can get fatigue from driving. So I'm not for sure if the Waymo cars can drive unlimited time. So this is the first, I think, the first public competition for employment that we're seeing when it comes to the AI technology that's on the forefront of our industry. And man still trying to survive alongside the computers, because we still need to feed our family, we still need to support our kids, live a life, have an income. And these companies are seeing their profit margins surge because you don't have to pay certain things when you have artificial intelligence doing the same job. You don't have to pay medical insurance, hourly wages, workman's comp. You don't have to pay these things to a computer. If a human get injured, it's a lot of liability with companies. So I believe that a lot of companies are, venturing off into the artificial intelligence space because it's financially beneficial for them. But I don't think that they're taking account for the struggles that is going to bring on to the average person, not being able to be employed, and, that's not really their concern. A lot of these companies' concern is profit, 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 profit. There's no thought about, okay, well, if we put this technology in place, then a lot of people is going to be unemployed, and I believe that the more that we adapt to artificial intelligence, the higher you're going to see the employment rate go up, because more and more and more you're going to see people being unemployed, and it's going to be a challenge, so this is the first challenge I believe that we're seeing with men trying to compete against AI, and we'll see how it goes, but like I said, I'm a transit operator, so I'm, driving all over the city every day, and I'm seeing these Waymo cars, and they drive good. I see them turning corners. I see them in situations where they have to make a decision, and they're making a decision just as if a human being was driving a car. They're avoiding collisions. They're getting stopped in traffic where someone has their hazard lights on, and they're hitting their blinker and going around that car and proceeding to their destination. So they look pretty much safe. I haven't seen anyone, I haven't seen anything on the news with them having bad accidents or collisions. A couple of people told me that, when they first started seeing the cars, they would get in certain situations and the car would just freeze up. It wouldn't know how to make the decision to get out of the bad traffic situation or whatever. And they would have to, reboot the system or have someone come out and, manually move the vehicle. But now the technology is getting way more advanced, and, they're making decisions and as if a human being was driving a car. And I believe this is just the first technology that man has to compete against. It's a few more out there, but I mean actually physical labor. This is driving. We have to compete against them. We have to, wake up in the morning and get up, get dressed, take a shower, get something to eat, to have energy to work throughout the day. And this technology, they just charge up the car. The car is electric, so they charge the car through the night, pretty much probably program the system to go out and work, and the car drives off, the same as a person leaving their home would, and they're based in the city, so they come zooming right out, and immediately it's starting to pick people up. I don't know how many cars is zooming through the city, but I'm pretty sure it's hundreds, and that's a tough task, when it comes to the average person trying to make a living, because this machine can just take any drive. It's not paying for gas. The company's not paying for labor. So, I've done Instacart and DoorDash. There's certain orders that will come on the app I will look at and go, you know what, this isn't even profitable, when it comes to my time and gas and my maintenance on my car. But I mean, this company doesn't have that challenge, so they can take any and every ride and then lower the rates, or whatever they able to do, so it's like, this is just the first challenge, and I don't know if people is really paying attention to it, that we're in a competition with these computers. Everybody's loving the technology because it benefits us in certain aspects, making everything a lot easier. But at the same time, it's definitely going to be challenges when you're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, us trying to stay employed, them putting AI in industries that we work in, that's slowing up our industry where we can't work, where we can't survive or take care of our family. So it's a lot of people that's all for AI and artificial intelligence right now. But I believe as it enters your space of employment, you're going to feel the pinch. And that's when you're going to kind of take a step back and look at it and go, wait a minute, you're not all the way for AI, because it's starting to take food off your plate, and it's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. It's coming like a train with no brakes. It's not going to stop, so it's tough. I mean, I'm looking at it, and I see the Uber drivers, they're still dropping people off and zooming off trying to compete. You coming out and you got a goal to make, so you're coming out competing, you're zooming through the city trying to get your rides, and you're trying to drop people off, and you got the Waymo cars doing the same thing, and I was joking to a friend of mine, a coworker. I said, well, you could be smart and just follow the Waymo cars, because I'm pretty sure their technology is leading them right to where it's busy, and they're attacking that area. So if you go to an area and you see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Waymo cars just idled in that area or pulled over to the side, they're not taking a break. That's not no one in the car. What they're doing is this is a hot area, and they're positioning the Waymo cars to catch this surge, because they know at a certain time, like I say, they have the technology to remember. They have the ability to go into the internet system and tell what area is busy right now. And if you see the Waymo cars, this area is either busy right now or it's surging, and it's gonna be busy in the next few minutes. So it's a challenge. We're gonna have to just wait and watch, and see how all this plays out. But at the end of the day, I just feels like, if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, California, you've seen Waymo. I'm pretty sure if you haven't never heard of it, you've looked over and seen a white car on the side of you and wasn't no one driving it. It was no one in a car, and that car had its blinkers on, and it made a left turn, and it kept proceeding up the block as if someone was driving. It's not no one in that car, and it's pulling over. I guess you have to hit the app to unlock the door, and you get in, and you already programmed your destination in your phone. And once you sit down and put your seatbelt on, the car proceeds to take you where you need to go, safe and sound. So it's like this is the first piece of competition that man has against artificial intelligence to stay employed. And we got to get out here and try to do our best job and drive safe, and and treat people courteous and stuff like that, because best believe you in a competition with these computers, and they're driving safe. They're not being disrespectful to the clients. They're pulling up on time. They're dropping them off on time. They're driving the speed limit. They're not playing loud music. They're not smoking in the vehicle. They're not doing anything like that. So it's like, it's almost a positive to our negative, so, human being want to drive with human being, but at the same time, we have flaws and stuff that people wouldn't like. Let's say you're an Uber driver and you smoke a cigarette in your vehicle. You try to spray a little bit, but someone who doesn't smoke gets in your Uber car and go, oh, they smoke. That's not going to happen in a Waymo. So we have to be knowledgeable and aware that we're in competition with these computers, and they're going to be perfect at a lot of things that we're not, and we just have to see how everything's going to go with that. But I believe this is the first step for men to compete. And hopefully we can. Hopefully we can. If we can't, then they're going to just take over all our industries. I'm in an industry that drive. So I don't know how long it's going to be before the company I work for adapts to this. And then we're out of employment, and it's going to go into every industry: real estate, stock market, grocery stores. They're already doing self-checkout. That's artificial intelligence. Self-checkout, they could have 10 cash registers right there. They only need one person monitoring it. So that took off 10 jobs right there per store. So you have to look at all that. It's going to be everywhere. It's not an industry that AI cannot adapt to. So we have to get ready for this, and we got to get ready for this challenge as man and woman that's going to still be out here trying to have employment, competing against artificial intelligence. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be a tough hill to climb to try to survive, but, shout out to Waymo, and shout out to all the Uber drivers who woke up this morning and they out there trying to get it, man, competing against these driverless cars, man. You got to get out here and compete. You're going to have to work long hours. You're going to have to take rides you don't want to take because you still need to hit your number. Whatever number it was you woke up this morning and said you wanted to make for your family and your household, man, you got to get out there and get it. You know, this the Aaron L Show. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about driverless cars. If you have seen the Waymo cars driving through San Francisco, what do you think about the human Uber drivers that has to compete against them daily? Do you think it's a fair game? Do you think that our backs are against the wall when it comes to this artificial intelligence and trying to stay employed? I'll be back at y'all with another one. Once again, please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.